Hey everybody, and welcome to Super Comic Fun Time here on YouTube. And today is Wednesday. What is it? Is it the 24th? It's been that all day, but it's been a very busy day. And at any rate, we do know for certain that it is New Comic Book Day. And before we get started, I started a Hangout already, and it crashed. I downloaded a new browser called Brave, and I've only used it for like a day or so, but I really like it, and I was really excited when I started the Hangout and it started to work, but then it kind of crashed. So the reason I use Chrome for Hangouts is because that's the only thing I've found so far that works pretty easily. And otherwise, I have a huge paranoia concerning Google, and I like to use them as little as possible. For my search bar, I mostly use Start Page, and on my phone, I use DuckDuckGo. I have the Start Page app, but for whatever reason, it doesn't fit right on the screen, and I haven't found a way to make Start Page work from Safari on the phone. Anyway, so let's talk a little comic book news. John Malin and Zach. It's Zach's Jawbreakers is the name of his title, and they have an Indiegogo going, and they are coming close to hitting $90,000. So I still haven't joined. I need to do that, and I will probably do that later today. It's very exciting to watch, and yeah, so that's one bit of news. Another bit of news is Smallville actress. More details are coming out on this whole thing with this Nexian cult and Allison Mack, and it's highly disturbing. And what's really disturbing about it is, for years I kind of knew this stuff was going on. A few years ago, I read a book called The Franklin Scandal, and it talked about this whole trafficking thing that was going on in the 80s and into the early 90s, but nothing really came of it other than a couple of books. It got pretty covered up, and so like to see all this stuff coming out in court, and the media still isn't covering it, but it feels like, you know, two realities fighting. It's like this has actually happened, there's evidence of it, and nobody is really talking about it. And I can understand why. On one level it's highly disturbing, but if it's not exposed, then it continues, so that's kind of a bummer. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had time for to notice in the news today. Oh, Infinity War is coming out this weekend. Now, I am not going until Sunday, so I will not have any, I'm avoiding all of the early reviews right now. A lot of times I don't care, but I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. But so yeah, I will be going probably to an early matinee on Sunday, and I'm really excited for it. I can't wait. I haven't bought my tickets yet just because it's been up in the air about when I could go, so I should probably do that as soon as possible. This movie is just like the culmination of everything we fans have been waiting for. Now, I wasn't right there at the beginning. Iron Man came out, and I was kind of burned out on comic book movies, unless they were something like, I liked Ghost World a little bit. You know, they were more kind of independent and more heartfelt stories. I really liked that documentary on Crumb, and then Harvey Picar's American Splendor. I can't remember what the documentary was called too, but I found those very interesting. But I don't know if it was Batman and Robin or Tank Girl and all these movies. They either were good in some way, or they were, and you know who did kind of the best was, there's like a very short while when Sci-Fi was making movies, and they even made a Shield movie with David Hasselhoff as Nick Shield. And, you know, it wasn't great, but it was better than what we were getting on the big screen. And they had this other movie that was like one of the guys who was a character in Twin Peaks, and he played kind of this mad scientist, and he invented this this kind of superhero character. And I can't remember if he was a good guy or a bad guy, and he was creating the monster to be bad, and the monster turned out being good. But anyways, and I haven't seen it in, I guess it's nearly 20 years ago now when that one came out. And I was really excited because that was like more the direction, even though there was a lot of campiness to it, there was some seriousness behind the story. And I will take that. But then Iron Man came out, and that changed everything. And I didn't go see Iron Man when it came out because I didn't care about comic book movies at that point. I only went to see Iron Man 2 because I was going with a group of people, and I certainly didn't have any objections to seeing it. If somebody had said, hey, let's go see Iron Man, I'd say, sure, why not? You know, but when Iron Man 2 was my introduction to the MCU, and it was a lot of fun. And so ever since then, like when Captain America was coming out, I go, this looks good when I saw the trailer for it, because I grew up in the 70s, and I remember those two really kind of horrible made-for-TV movies with Captain America. It's like, I was like, even then, like, what is this? But it was all we had. It was like, you know, I think I've said this before, the best of the Marvel movies from the 1970s that I remember liking as a kid was Doctor Strange. And that was like the one that was closest to being the comic book. And I know it's on YouTube, and I haven't really watched it. I've watched some other people talk about it and talk about how cheesy it is. But at the time, that was the best one. And then there was Spider-Man, and I watched Spider-Man because it was the only Spider-Man. And so, you know, and I'd already given up on Saturday morning cartoons. Like, you know how comic books are today with the SJW problem and stuff like that. That's how Saturday morning cartoons were in the 70s for a while, because they had to be educational for children. And somehow the people who were making the cartoons thought educational meant boring. And so, you know, there were still some good cartoons, but you know, Super Friends was really boring. I remember like liking I would watch it every week, and I hated the two ride-along characters. Like, first it was like two human-type teenagers, and then it was the Wonder Twins. And those were my least favorite. I've never liked the sidekick, really. Batman and Robin is the exception. Like, from the TV show, the old 60s TV show, I liked Robin because he kind of fit in with the tone of the show. Everything fit. But, you know, even like there was another Batman show before the animated series, the famous one, and I enjoyed it, but they had to throw in Batmite in there. And like, I think Batmite might, now that I know more about Batmite, I think he's a good sometime character, but you don't want him in every episode just to be the comic relief. Have the comic relief come from someplace else. Have it come from Batman overestimating himself or something. But yeah, I really dislike that. But I'm off on a tangent. So let's see. I did finish my last issue of Mr. Miracle. It was good. I wish I had the very last issue. And this one, I'm just going to go over this really quick, is like we've still got the two Mr. Miracles, and now they are at the JLA headquarters. And there was like the issue I don't have, which is number 25, and then there was like JLA 50 or something like this. What does it say here? 30. 30 or 50, it's hard to tell. Anyways, there was a JLA episode, and so like somehow Scott and Shiloh are at JLA headquarters, and they've left their women behind again, having an adventure, and they're all mad. So Barda is still doing the wrestling, and the artwork is a little bit different here too. Joe Phillips is still on it, but Romeo Tangal is taking over for Bob Dvorak, and it's overall pretty good. It's a little crisper in some ways. The characters are all recognizable. It's not like that one issue. Now Scott's got this kind of side beard going on here, and I'm not sure what's going on with that, because of course I missed those issues. So they come back, and then like Scott just sweet talks Sparta into forgiving him and like throwing a dinner party, and Shiloh is going home, and then his girlfriend Fiona shows up, and she says, like, I guess they've been gone a week or 2 weeks, and she says, I broke up with you a week and a half ago, but she came because I guess he told her that he's Mr. Miracle. And there's like some complicated circuitous thing with these two always, and like what is it? I will have to read it, but it's like something my friend's aunt's husband seems to be turning into a supervillain. So the other thing that's happening is like back on this first page is Shiloh is mad because At one time Scott says you're ready to be the new Mr. Miracle, and then I guess he told the JLA that he wasn't sure if Shiloh is quite ready, which makes sense. He explains it later. It's like, I think you'll make a great Mr. Miracle. I think you need a little training and to learn a little more before you become Mr. Miracle. And then, it kind of makes sense. I think he put it this way. It's like, when I say you are the new Mr. Miracle, that's my enthusiasm. When I say you're not quite ready yet, that's my caution. I don't want you to get hurt. So I thought that was a pretty good explanation, And so, we've had this ever since they've moved to New York. There's this Albanian noodle thing. And so, we finally get kind of a glimpse in here of something that's going on. When I read this, it was a little confusing to me, but not too confusing. So, this part is, soap opera-ish, and they're just arguing, squabbling, and then he knocks on the door, but then this monster comes knocking out, and I think he looks a little bit like Wolverine. I don't know if that's intentional. Probably is. And then it just turns out that they're eating something, and the whole neighborhood is turning into monsters. And so, yeah, we'll just skip ahead a little because, they fight the monsters and they prattle on with each other. And then we come to this part where Barda is setting up the dinner party. So she's calling people that we met earlier, and ever since they moved to New York, we don't see. So there's her next door neighbor who got her into the animal rescue thing, and the two kids are here still spying, and why, I don't know. It's like that's just what they do. They're like Artie Johnson from the old Laugh-In, if you're old enough. So then this guy is walking, and he's walking to the Albanian noodle factory, and then Oberon is he notices him. And he just your typical village people, Barda babe, looking for all the wrong places for some sanity. But you don't have to yak. I'm getting rid of him now. And then the guy kind of disappears because you can see, unless you're paying attention, you just read over it. There's a elevator or a stair shaft opens up in the sidewalk, and then Oberon is like, where'd that dude go? And then it all leads back to the Albanian noodle factory. Then we have another interlude with Blue Beetle, and I don't understand why they made these characters so dumb back then. I like Blue Beetle from the Countdown to Infinite Crisis, and this just devastates me. It's like, why couldn't he always have been that character, serious and studying stuff and getting killed because he won't join in with Maxwell Lord? Oh, look here. This is when Venom came out. Venom is one of those classic Batman stories. It's pretty much an anti-drug story, but then Venom went on to be the thing that powers Bane. So, that's just right around this time. So anyways, they end up in the Albanian noodle factory, and then they find out that there's aliens or something. And then you have this this alien noodle, and he's going to feed himself to the miracles and be able to control their mind. And then, the next issue would be the last issue if I had it, and it's called The Great Albanian Noodle Party of '91. So it was fun. It was a fun run. I wish I would, maybe someday I'll get it more complete. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I'm going to move on to something else. I've got a few of the newer Mr. Miracles. Infinity War is coming out. I've got those Infinity books. I could be reading that. And then I've got the question that I opened the other day, and I could be reading that. So, but let's go through what I picked up today, which isn't very much. Now, when I first woke up this morning, I checked Comixology. Excuse me, my nose is running. This is going to be gross. I wonder if I can just mute the mic for a second. Okay, sorry about that. I hope it wasn't too gross. Anyways, so I was saying, oh yes, I went into Comixology, and I got really excited because I saw that there's a Prisoner comic that came out today, and I go, whoa! It's because forever I've had there's a Jack Kirby started this project. I can't remember who else with back in the '80s, I think, and he got most of one issue all drawn, and it's beautiful. And they are releasing a simulation. I can't think of the word right now, but it's like it's a facsimile. They're releasing a facsimile of it in July, I think. And anyways, within the next month or two, and it's around $50. And I'm just really excited for this. I go, is this what this is? You know, are they releasing the digital form now? And then no, it's a brand new comic book, and it's from is it Titan Comics? And so like near the end of my shift, I called a couple of comic book stores to see if they had it, but they were sold out already. The Prisoner is my favorite. So when I stopped at this one, I asked if he could order me a copy. So I'm excited about that. And I still don't have Action 1000. So what I did get when I was there, I was like looking around, and I noticed that they had like a couple of these $1 True Believers things that I've heard about, but I haven't picked up any yet. So, you know, with the Infinity War movie coming out, I thought a Thanos one was good to get. So well, I got two Thanos ones. And, you know, is this one by Jack Kirby? No, it's by Jim Stalin. I remember looking at it in the store. So Pencils, Plot, and Character Conceptions by Jim Stalin. So this is not a Jack Kirby thing, which Jack Kirby's on my mind because the next thing I got was Devil Dinosaur #1. Now I was reading the book about DC versus Marvel. What is it called? Like Punch Out or something match, grudge match or something like that. It was a book that told the history of Marvel and DC, and they talked about Jack Kirby in there. And when he was coming up with Devil Dinosaur, the promotions department called him up, and you know, they were looking for something to like sell the book on it. And like Jack Kirby was like at his low point then. He's back at Marvel, and he's kind of like that guy from Office Space with his stapler. And, you know, they got him there. They don't want to get rid of him because he's too valuable for that, but they're not letting him be himself. So this guy from the PR department says, you know, so what's this Devil Dinosaur about? You know, what's the selling point? What's the story? And Jack Kirby said something like, Devil Dinosaur is a dinosaur that's red, and that's it. But the good news is Jack Kirby ended up going to work on Saturday morning animation. I think things like Thundar the Barbarian, which is a show I watched. That was like one of the better cartoon shows. Like, you know, I was just complaining about cartoons earlier, and that was one of the better ones. That was one I did like. It was like near the end of my watching cartoons, but I did enjoy Thundar the Barbarian. And so the book said that he was treated much better there, and he became a much happier person. So I'm very glad for that. And I don't know anything about Devil Dinosaur. He might have figured in like in some small way in a Spider-Man book I read, like maybe Spider-Verse, but Spider-Verse was kind of forgettable to me. At any rate, I got those. And then the reason Jack Kirby was on my mind is I saw this book here is Jack Kirby 100 collection, celebration collection, 100th celebration collection. So this one, I'm not going to open up for you. It's like, I think I've got a lot of these in other formats. Maybe I will open it up. It's so hard. It's like my inner self is saying, just put this one away and keep it in the cellophane. So I think I'm going to do that for now. I do tend to agree with Cell from Comic Book Pop that comic books are meant to be read. So if I really need to read it, I will. But this for right now, I'm just going to keep this one here. I never heard of this one. And that's the main reason why. So I'm hoping like a lot of people didn't hear about it, and this will be my $1 million ticket because they didn't print that many of them. You know, they probably did, and I'm being totally silly. But that's how, you know, we're not rational creatures. We think we are, and so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bring the vlog to a close now. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I spent this time with you. I was feeling really kind of de-energized when I came in, and now I feel great. So remember, I know it's somebody else's catchphrase, keep reading comics and have a super comic fun time. That's my phrase. Okay, bye.